What's your body type? Do you know or did you know that there were body types? Do you know how many body types there are? We live in a society right now as to where people are dismissing a lot of knowledge that was brought to us from past science, and they're dismissing it for current science or whatever the case is. However, the mistake that you're making when you're doing that, and this is a message for the trainers before I get into my message, is success leaves clues. So you're disregarding everything from the past and you're relying on everything from the current. Huge mistake. That's like a boxer who disregards everything that they taught in the past and just solely relies on what goes on today. That's what's missing in a lot of boxing is, the grit that the past athletes had, because we rely solely on science. You put the two together, the grit and the science, and you'll have the complete boxer. However, back to the message that I was talking about. There are three body types out here. You've got your ectomorph, your mesomorph, and your endomorph. And what I've ran across commonly in gyms is people aspiring to be like a body type that they don't have. So before I get into that part, let me explain what each body type looks like and how to identify it. An ectomorph is the skinnier, thinner individual. This individual is the person who you look at and say, dang, they can eat anything they want to eat, and they don't gain an ounce, they don't gain a pound. They can't gain weight for anything in the world, and what's commonly said about this individual? I wish I could eat like you. However, the ectomorph is commonly a frustrated individual who's like, I wish I could gain the weight. So we'll get to the gym envy point in a minute. The mesomorph in the middle, which is my current body type, well, my body type, not current body type, my body type. The mesomorph sits in the middle. We could either gain muscle tissue fairly fast or relatively fast, or drop body fat relatively fast, all depending on our nutritional habits and our training style. So we're caught off in the middle. Then you've got the endomorph, which is the larger individual, the person who carries more body fat, the bigger individual. So you've got your three body types, your ectomorph, your mesomorph, and your endomorph. Now, what happens in gym culture or in fitness culture is one body type aspires to be like the other body type. And all of them pretty much base around wanting to be thinner and trimmer like the ectomorph. And keep in mind, the ectomorph has a smaller shoulder frame. They have the small waist, and this goes into your genetics. This is why you should not fight against your genetics. But the ectomorph has the smaller waist. They take the perfect picture. So when you're talking about an ectomorph, you could be talking about somebody like Massey Arias. You could be talking about Jason Statham. You could be talking about any of the thinner individuals who just always appear to have that cut and ripped and lean look. Then you've got the mesomorph. The mesomorph would be the bigger individual, but medium build, a little wider in the hips, at the hip point, broader shoulders, hopefully, bigger legs if they're training them, but your medium build individuals, your Michael Jai White, your medium build individuals. I'm going to let you figure that out. Then you're talking about your endomorphs. Your endomorphs would be individuals like Brock Lesnar from the UFC, and not necessarily saying that the individual is big in terms of carrying body fat, but just a bigger individual just overall. If you think about it, each one of these body types actually has a different position in the sports arena too, namely football. You can find your ectomorphs out there playing wide receiver. You can find your endomorphs definitely where? On the line, the offensive line or defensive line. You can find your mesos, a mix between, your tight ends, your fullbacks, running backs, things of that nature. So hopefully that gives you a better description of how to define or how to see a body type and know what type that is. So what happens in gym culture? Everybody aspires to be like the other one. So while the meso and the endo aspire to be as thin as the ecto, oh, I wish I was as lean as you. I wish I could be as cut as you. The opposite side of that coin is the ecto aspires to put on muscle tissue as easy, not necessarily as easy, but easy as the mesomorph, or to get bigger like the endomorph. So they're looking like, I wish I could put on the muscle tissue you do, because the ecto has to work super hard, pick up a lot of heavy weight, eat, a nice abundance of calories to, actually put on a little bit of muscle tissue. They actually struggle with that. So each body type has its own struggle, and then it creates this passive envy between all three of each other. The endo wants to be like the meso. The meso wants to be as lean as the ecto. The ecto wants to be as muscular as the meso. And some of the mesos want to get as big as the endo. What I am trying to tell you all, and what I'm trying to inspire you, you all to do, is one, know your body type, because that's going to help you train the way you need to train, because all of us were created to be different. And two, quit fighting against your genetics. I'm a mesomorph. I'll never, in any shape or form, in this life or possibly the next, be an ectomorph. I'll never be an endomorph. I could eat bad and, put on a lot of body fat and, look like an endomorph, but that's not a healthy endomorph. And there are healthy ways to be an endomorph. I'll never be an endo or an ecto. An ecto will never be a meso or an endo. An endo will never be a meso nor an ecto. All of us are created for different things. You have to embrace that. People go to gyms and they see different individuals and they're like, oh, I want to be like such and such. Or they turn on this internet and they say, wow, I want to be like such and such in that video. When you're looking at that, the best thing and the only thing that you can and should do is get inspired by someone's work ethic. Everybody looks at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? Mesomorph. Everybody looks at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and say, oh, I want to be like The Rock. Okay, you're not The Rock. You might not even be a meso. And you don't even know what he does outside of the gym. Whatever the case is, you need to embrace your genetics. A meso or an ecto has the genetic capability to be stronger than an ecto. So your genetic lineage may have came from strong people, from people who can move extra weight. Like there are individuals in this gym that I currently train and work with who are endomorphs, who, if they maximized on what their genetic capabilities truly are and quit fighting against their genetics, could move mountains of weight. They were created to be strong. They were created to be the Jabari tribe from Black Panther, the big, strong individuals. But what happens is they're denying what they actually are and who they actually are to try to become someone and something they'll never be. And then they get frustrated and then they quit. They give up on themselves when they were never actually being themselves. Same thing for the meso. The meso can gain good strength and, drop body fat. So it can kind of, tilt both ways. It's a bit in the middle. I know that personally because that's my body type. So I know that I can gain muscle tissue fairly faster, or I can drop body fat faster depending on my habits. However, I have accepted that this is what I am. This is my genetic makeup. Same thing for the endo. The endo will never be a meso. The endo can eat all the calories it wants to, he or she wants to, and try their hardest to get there. But their genetic makeup was made for them to probably be lean, fast, and quick. You have to embrace what the creator and the higher power gave you. Once you become at peace with what you are, who you are, be it a meso, endo, ecto, meso, or endo, your fitness journey will get a lot easier because you're not fighting the inevitable. The inevitable is you are going to be who you are. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. I'm telling you this because I did the same thing. When I'm telling you guys what I'm telling you, I'm speaking from my personal experiences. I'm speaking from things I've read, things that I know. I'm not going to speak on things that I don't know. And if I don't know it, I'll research it and figure it out. However, stop fighting against who you are and stop comparing yourself to everybody else. You were created as one, be an individual, be the best person you could ever possibly be with your own body mannerisms, with your own body type. Embrace your body type. That was given to you. That was your gift. You're denying your gift by trying to become and be someone else. In all facets of life. That could go all the way from fitness to careers. You have to embrace who you are, your body type, and push forward from there and watch how you change and watch how you develop. You'll be far less frustrated. You'll be far less frustrated with your journey because you have finally just said, hey, this is who I am. This is how I need to eat. I'm an endo. I'm a bigger guy. You know, I'll never be one of these, you know, walking around with the six-pack, you know, guys or whatever the case is, which six-packs are just generally, if you're not an ectomorph, you know, a reward of the higher discipline. However, an endomorph can lean out a bit, but you're made to be strong. Go pick up some heavy weight. Be strong. Be strong. A lot of people wish they could be strong. Embrace that. Meso, similar, but not all the way across the board. Like I said, we're kind of like the wild card or whatever the case is. You could, and it's warm here. You could gain your strength, you know, and gain a good bit of strength, and you could actually lean out. You know, you can take this thing either way, you know, so pick which way you're going to go. Ecto, you're made to be smaller. Sorry, it is what it is. You know, you are the envy of the gym when it comes to the V-cut abs and, you know, all of that or whatever. However, you don't embrace that because you want to be bigger or whatever the case is. Listen, embrace being the smaller, stronger individual. Not saying you can't get stronger, not saying you shouldn't get stronger, especially with men. I'm always hard on men because I'll get into that in another video. But men should strive to be stronger, you know, or whatever the case is. Get as strong as you could possibly get without being an envy of the meso or the endo. Everybody should be their own individual. You don't see, let's get back to the football analogy. You don't see offensive linemen, endos. You don't see offensive linemen out there playing wide receiver like Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice, right? Why? Because that's not their position. They have embraced who they are. You don't see wide receivers on the O-line or on the D-line, right? Why? Because that's not their positions. You have to play your position. You have to embrace it. I'm telling you, it's the best thing you could possibly do. Once you embrace it, I think this will actually help you guys not only not be so frustrated, but start embracing the gym a bit more. Start embracing your fitness journey a bit more. Once you stop being at combat with who you are and start loving who you are and start just enjoy. I'm telling you, it's a liberating feeling when you're trying not to be anybody else and you're just taking what the creator gave you and maximizing it. All right, boom. That's where I'm gonna stop this video. I believe that was a good note. I hope this video helps you out. I hope you use this as a resource, and I hope you enjoy your gym and fitness journeys. I hope you embrace your individuality. Your individuality is the most important gift that the creator gave you. So please embrace it, maximize on it. Please also like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm almost at what? I'm at a bit over 2,500 subscribers. I really like to get it to 3K before the month is up. So please let your friends know about me. I'm going to be as transparent as possible, as real as possible. And if you've got any topics you want me to discuss, please let me know. I look forward to doing so, and I will talk to you all next time.